Oh shit, yeah. I'm scared of the Jesus out of me. Hey guys, welcome back to a long-awaited edition of Dazza Does Brewing. I thought I would bring one out just before Christmas and release this quick and simple recipe. It's something you can whip up in, even like 30 minutes, and most of the ingredients can be found at your local supermarket. And this brew is growing in popularity across Australia, going crazy like wildfire on Facebook, and it even has its own Facebook group, and it's called the Woolworths Lager Appreciation Society. That's exactly what it is. It's just a Woolworths Lager branded extract can, which you can find in the supermarket. So grab one of those, go down a couple more aisles to the health food section, pick up some of the rice malt syrup, because that's what you want to use. Because if you're using the sugar that comes with this, which they say to use with the kit, it just turns out ordinary. It's shit. So basically, you want to use decent malt. You can use your dry malt extracts, or I just find it easier to use the rice malt, because you're picking up 500 grams for $3. You know, cheapest chips. And then with this, I've also used fresh hops and a decent lager yeast, because that thing you get in the can, I don't think it's a lager yeast, and it's pretty much only good for yeast nutrient, which means you can throw it into the boil, and that'll give something for the yeast, the good yeast, to feed on. So anyway, I'm going to put together a little bit of a montage for you guys to watch, and at the end we'll go through and probably have a bit of a taste of the beer.
So yeah, here we got just 2 cans of the typical lager concentrate, so each one 1.5 kilos, and each are going to have a total of 2 of the 500 grams malt extract added to them. And then here we have steeped 400 grams of Bohemian malt, which I actually left overnight, raised it to 64 degrees, then just left it to just cool down and just kept it. And then I obviously raised it up to temperature it's boiling, and it's also got 20 grams of Magnum added for the bittering. And coming to a nice boil now. And here we are, our nicely sanitized fermenters, which we're going to use, just adding in the 1 kilo of rice malt syrup to each of the fermenters, making sure we get all of it out there. Yeah, if you have to, you might want to get a kettle and pour a little bit in there and mix it all up. Just get all the goodness out of each jar. Just pouring it in there now. Chucking some more in the next second fermenter. All hunky-dory. Oh, they have their rice malt, and now we're adding the cans, which actually on the can I can actually see now it's 1.7 kilos per can. Makes up to 23 litres. I usually top this up to about 22. Also, you can throw a bit of half a kettle into each of those cans, just to make sure you get all the extract out, because it can be quite stiff and not come out too easily. Just kind of helps a bit of the process. Just make sure that you're using a bit of a tea towel. Here comes in the Bohemian malt, which I mashed. So I'm probably made up like 7.5 litres, and I've split that between 2, and like I said before, it's 400 grams into that lot, so that's 200 grams per batch of the Bohemian. Now I'm just had a bit of corn syrup in the cupboard, and I thought I might as well use it up. It does help with a bit of head retention, which is always beneficial when you're doing these cheap extract kits. There's nothing worse than poor head retention in these. Doing the partial mash with the Bohemian will help, but also adding a touch of the corn syrup also does a good job. So I added 130 grams each to those batches. And then obviously, I added some of the white sugar just to boost up the ABV just slightly, and also to give it a slightly drier finish. And yeah, you can just use regular white sugar for this. There's no reason to use caster sugar or anything else fancy, really. It all does the same job. And obviously using Woolworths, because, you know, you're getting the Woolworths lager can there, you know, you're using the Woolworths rice malt syrup. You might as well use the Woolworths white sugar, you know, why not? Giving it all a good mix now. Just making sure that there's no solids on the bottom. It's all mixed through. It's all become a liquid. You know, there's nothing worse than having clumps. And it's also important, once we add our water, you know, we want to have a good oxidization of the water and aeration when we're adding our yeast, because that'll help with getting it all going. Here we go, just using regular tap water. Obviously, if you want, you can use distilled water, spring water, filtered water, any water you want. In my case, my water's not too bad, so I'm just using that. Obviously, if you've got water that's too hard or too soft, then you might want to use it or adjust it accordingly, but mine's not too bad, so I'll just use mine. So obviously you can see there, I've bumped it up to 23 litres, or just under 23 litres actually. And it's been popped in the fridge at 14.5 for now. Actually, that was just the yeast, sorry. The yeast is just being brought up to temp at 14.5 degrees temperature. Just done a gravity reading here. As you can see, it's 10:44. It's taken me a few goes, but finally I get to it. And here's the keg. Just using a regular siphon. As you can see, it's pretty clear. Cold crash for 2 days. Going straight into the chest freezer, into the keg.
So this is the finished product. You can still see it's a little bit hazy. I didn't fine it with any gelatin. I've just left it in the keg. You know, it's not too bad. But I find it's a decent beer. It's fairly sessionable. You can share it with friends. They won't notice if it's you know, apart from your homebrewer mates, they might say, oh, it doesn't taste like an old grain. But for the amount of time and money that goes into this beer is outstanding. So obviously it's a bit darker in colour because of the Caribbean malt, which I've added to the beer, and also because it's got those added hops, it's actually a bit more bitter, because I find that the lager on its own just lacks a bitterness, and it just doesn't have that bitiness of a true Australian lager. But yeah, so that's the beer, and give it a try. You know, this one came out at I think 4.8%. Which is perfect, you know, perfect for an Australian bitter, like in the lager. So yeah, give it a go, guys, and tell me what you think down in the comment section. And yeah, visit your local woolies and give it a go. Cheers, guys. Till next time. Bye.